Ancient Egyptians. They didn't have smartphones, satellites, or modern labs, yet they cracked mysteries of the body that still baffle us today. Long before textbooks and white coats, Egyptians were experimenting, observing, and healing with astonishing insight. From herbal remedies brewed in clay pots to surgical tools carved from bronze, their methods were bold, creative, and surprisingly effective. These early pioneers weren't just guessing, they were building the foundations of science, one discovery at a time. So today, let's dive into the fascinating world of ancient Egyptian knowledge, where medicine, rituals, and survival intertwined. We will discover how embalming taught them anatomy, how temples doubled as clinics, and why their influence still echoes in today's medical world. So, are you ready? Let's start. Medicine in ancient Egypt. Long before textbooks, Egyptians looked to their surroundings for cures. Early farmers discovered that river clay on wounds kept flies away, and that certain plants eased fevers. By the First Dynasty, around 3100 BC, these practical fixes transformed into a structured craft. Dedicated healers served royalty and commoners, bringing their treatments into temple boundaries that doubled as early clinics. Priest-physicians recorded procedures on pottery shards and simple scrolls, carefully noting which mixtures worked and which caused harm. These early records preserved observations, showing that healing required steady hands, accurate measurements, and the belief that tending the spirit was as vital as treating the body. So, medicine in Egypt was never guesswork, but a disciplined art grounded in trial, observation, and spiritual harmony. As the Egyptian kingdom flourished, medical practices advanced alongside monumental building projects. Tomb paintings began to depict bandaged limbs and surgical scenes, offering vivid evidence of early Egyptian healers' skill. Royal physicians earned growing prestige by treating pharaohs' ailments, while specialists cared for sacred animals, livestock, and deities' companions. These practitioners clarified that medicine was a distinct profession, demanding training, tools, and written methods separate from other crafts. As expertise spread, clinics emerged not only in temples, but in communities across the land. Over time, this professional identity paved the way for specialized texts, curricula, and schools devoted entirely to medicine. By weaving hands-on trials, spiritual beliefs, and detailed records into their practice, Egyptian healers established a medical tradition, both practical and sacred, one designed to endure and evolve across centuries. Unlocking the medical texts. From the Old Kingdom through the New, Egyptians began to record medical knowledge in detailed manuals. These works formed the foundation of medicine. The most famous of these is the Edwin Smith Papyrus, a surgical text presenting 48 trauma cases, from head wounds to spinal injuries. Each follows a logical structure: examination, diagnosis, treatment, and prognosis, often phrased as if the wound is clean, then do this. If pus appears, do that. Treatments used ointments made from animal fats, plant extracts, fruit substances, and minerals. The text even shows that oral surgery was practiced by the Fourth Dynasty, 2900 to 2750 BC. The Ebers Papyrus, dating to around 1550 BC, lists 877 prescriptions based on plants, minerals, and animal parts, often paired with spells to expel the demons thought to cause illness. It also documents awareness of tumors and offers instructions for their removal, demonstrating a sophisticated grasp of disease. Other key texts include the Hearst Papyrus and the Kahun Gynecological Papyrus. The Hearst Papyrus contains 18 pages of hieratic prescriptions focused on urinary disorders, blood conditions, hair problems, and bites. The Kahun Papyrus, regarded as the world's oldest gynecological guide, addresses women's health, fertility, and birth complications through 34 cases, some fragmentary, yet revealing. Across these works, practitioners merged empirical remedies such as willow bark, an early source of aspirin used for pain relief, with magical incantations invoking gods of healing. Together, these papyri reveal a medicine that valued both material cures and spiritual protection. rituals, and incantations. Moreover, ancient Egyptian medicine viewed health as the result of harmony among body, environment, and the divine. When illness struck, it was often blamed on moral failings or supernatural forces. A patient was thought to be suffering from sin, a demonic assault, an angry ghost, or a lesson imposed by the gods. So, to restore balance, physicians recited magical spells, written in sacred script, invoking higher powers while attending to physical symptoms. Spells penned in hieratic script invoked deities such as Thoth, the god of wisdom, or Isis, the goddess of healing, seeking their intervention. Beyond spoken words, healers relied on a toolkit of amulets, offerings, aromatic oils, tattoos, and statuettes. Each object or ritual aimed to expel hostile spirits, appease offended deities, or call down protective energies. These practices were meticulously documented on papyrus scrolls, which functioned as the era's medical textbooks. Amulets shaped like scarab beetles or wedge-shot eyes were buried with patience or worn continuously to shield against malevolent forces. Meanwhile, soothing ointments calmed inflamed skin and supported the body's recovery, ensuring that both spiritual and physical needs were met. A classic fever remedy illustrates the dual strategy. A warm poultice of figs and honey was rubbed across the chest while the healer chanted magical words. So, by addressing body and spirit together, priest-physicians believed they launched a full-scale assault on disease. By combining tangible treatments with ritual magic, they created a comprehensive approach to cure and prevention. Modern research confirms that such rituals can enhance recovery, demonstrating the enduring wisdom behind Egypt's blend of magic and medicine. Anatomy through embalming. One of the most unusual yet enlightening aspects of Egyptian medicine was embalming. Mummification began with the removal of internal organs, each washed and stored in canopic jars. Each organ was placed in its own jar, labeled for the afterlife, reflecting the rich care and remarkable anatomical precision with which embalmers recorded their observations. As embalmers peeled back layers of flesh and tissue, they gained exceptional insights into human anatomy centuries before other cultures. They noted the precise position of the brain, though they ultimately dismissed it as unimportant, observed the heart's central role in life, and traced networks of blood vessels beneath the skin. These careful studies introduced a depth of anatomical knowledge previously unseen in the ancient world. The practical results of embalming soon informed everyday medical practice. The Edwin Smith Papyrus describes treatments for skull fractures with accuracy, suggesting direct influence from embalmers' findings. Surgeons understood which parts of the skull offered immense protection to the brain, and they used heated metal tools to cauterize open wounds, effectively stopping hemorrhage. So, in a society deeply invested in the promise of life after death, the sacred ritual of mummification and the empirical study of the body during embalming became inseparable pursuits. By blending religious rite with hands-on research, ancient Egyptian physicians developed a practical understanding of anatomy that would not be rivaled elsewhere for many centuries: natural pharmacy. Additionally, ancient Egyptian physicians drew on the Nile's fertile floodplains and the deserts beyond to build a diverse pharmacopoeia. Honey served as a cornerstone remedy, prized for its natural antiseptic qualities that kept wounds clean and infections at bay with its low pH and traces of hydrogen peroxide. Natron, a blend of sodium carbonate decahydrate and bicarbonate, pulled double duty in mummification and wound care, drying tissues and creating an environment hostile to microbes. For pain relief, willow bark was crushed and brewed into a soothing tea, effectively acting as an early aspirin. And poppy poultices offered both analgesic and calming effects. Castor oil completed the lineup of essential ingredients, used reliably as a laxative to alleviate constipation. Beyond these key substances, Egyptian healers turned to minerals and animal products to address a range of ailments. Ochre and malachite were ground into pastes for treating eye infections under the harsh sun and blowing sands. Animal fats blended with crushed flowers formed emollient salves that soothed irritated skin and accelerated healing. Detailed in the Ebers Papyrus, these preparations extended to remedies for headaches, digestive disturbances, and even tumors, with practitioners combining multiple components to tackle both symptoms and underlying causes. The papyrus prescriptions specify exact quantities and mixing instructions, revealing a sophisticated awareness of dosage and potential side effects. So, through careful measurement and empirical refinement, ancient Egyptian doctors demonstrated an advanced understanding of pharmacology, laying the groundwork for medical practices that balanced practical results with precise application. Surgeons of the sands. Next, ancient Egyptian surgery required both valor and precise technique. The oldest metal surgical tools crafted from bronze or copper were unearthed in the tomb of Quar, confirming that physicians regularly performed operations. They classified injuries into 3 categories: treatable, contestable, and untreatable. Treatable cases, such as straightforward fractures, were reset immediately. Contestable injuries, likely survivable without surgery, were monitored. If patients remained stable, surgeons then attempted corrective operations. Untreatable wounds were left to natural healing, as intervention offered little benefit. Surgical kits included knives, hooks, drills, forceps, pincers, scales, spoons, and saws, alongside a vase of burning incense used to disinfect instruments or create a sterile environment. The Edwin Smith Papyrus outlines the use of linen strips soaked in resin to form rigid splints that supported broken limbs and promoted proper alignment during healing. Amputations were conducted with obsidian or copper scalpels, which allowed for remarkably clean incisions. Surgeons stitched wounds closed with fine linen threads, then applied cauterizing irons, heated metal rods, to seal blood vessels and stop bleeding. This systematic approach to classification, intervention, and aftercare demonstrates the ancient Egyptians' advanced surgical science. Their careful use of specialized tools, meticulous wound management, and innovative splinting techniques reveals a depth of medical knowledge that would not reappear elsewhere for centuries. The discovery of metal instruments in Qar's tomb underscores how highly they valued precise surgical care. Eyes and teeth. Ancient Egypt's specialization extended beyond general surgery into specialized fields such as ophthalmology and dentistry. Ophthalmologists treated eye diseases prevalent in dusty, sun-drenched landscapes. They used to apply a paste of copper malachite directly to the eyelids, then soothed inflammation with cooling compresses. For what they called Egyptian eye disease, likely trachoma, physicians blended crushed roots with a pinch of crocodile dung, an unconventional remedy that may have offered mild antiseptic benefits. And dentistry emerged as a distinct specialty, though it never achieved the prominence of general surgery. The rough, sandy diet, combined with grain ground on stone mills that left abrasive particles in bread, meant nearly every Egyptian suffered severe tooth issues. Cavities remained rare only because sweeteners were scarce. When teeth became infected, treatment options were so limited that many patients endured an inevitable loss. The instruction of Shoshank captures this reality in the proverb, "There is no tooth that rots yet stays in place." Although no specialized extraction tools have been recovered, skeletal remains bear evidence of forced removals. Some evidence reveals that physicians crafted poultices of honey and crushed herbs to harness natural antibacterial properties. At the same time, abscesses were lanced and cleaned with wine or vinegar, both recognized for their antiseptic qualities. Detailed surgical texts guided these interventions step by step, demonstrating a commitment to patient comfort and procedural accuracy that would not be matched until the rise of Greek medicine. Training the healers. Moreover, training for medical specialists unfolded within the House of Life. It was the scholarly hub attached to major temples where aspiring healers immersed themselves in a curriculum that blended medicine with astronomy, literature, and magic. Under the guidance of seasoned physicians, they practiced the precise art of mixing herbal and mineral remedies, mastered the recitation of healing incantations, and honed delicate manual skills essential for surgery and wound care. These temple schools functioned as both libraries and clinics, ensuring that students learned directly from texts and hands-on experience. Graduation from the House of Life required a formal assessment where candidates demonstrated proficiency in human anatomy, accurate preparation of pharmaceutical recipes, and flawless delivery of ritual chants. Success conferred prestigious titles such as Chief Physician of Upper Egypt or Eye Doctor of Pharaoh. This signaled authority over regional medical centers and the trust of both rulers and commoners. Although the exact curricula have not survived, the high value placed on documented expertise appears in tomb inscriptions that celebrate medical triumphs. "I healed the twisted neck of the royal scribe," proclaims one inscription, while another boasts, "I drove out fever like a chased lion." These commemorations suggest a system of formal recognition akin to modern medical certification, where skill and experience were publicly honored. Thus, through temple-based training, careful record-keeping, and official titles, ancient Egyptian medicine maintained standards that underpinned its reputation as a cradle of advanced healing practices, hygiene, and public health. Also, cleanliness formed a cornerstone of medical practice in ancient Egypt. Every day, people bathed in the Nile or in stone-lined tubs, washing away dirt and potential contaminants long before heading into clinics. Physicians took sanitation a step further by scrubbing their hands, tools, and even the floors of treatment rooms with natron solutions. And after dressing wounds, healers burned used bandages and poultices to ensure that no lingering matter could spread infection. Hygiene extended beyond medical spaces into urban planning. Communal latrines and complex drainage canals in cities such as Amarna reveal a deliberate effort to manage waste and keep living areas clean. Priests taught that uncleanliness invited disease, blending spiritual guidance with practical advice. Though ancient Egyptians lacked knowledge of microbes, their insistence on ritual and routine washing anticipated concepts found in modern germ theory. This rigorous approach to cleanliness had tangible benefits. Records and archaeological evidence suggest that post-operative mortality rates in ancient Egypt were likely lower than those in medieval Europe, where such strict sanitation standards were absent. So, by integrating personal hygiene, instrument sterilization, and waste disposal into everyday life, Egyptian healers created an environment that minimized infection risk. Their legacy shows that observing and respecting the principles of cleanliness can dramatically improve patient outcomes, even without a complete understanding of the invisible threats lurking in unclean spaces. From Egypt to Greece, Greek travelers such as Herodotus, arriving around 440 BC, were astonished by Egyptian doctors' surgical methods and their strict regard for hygiene. A practice virtually unknown in Greece at the time, Egyptian physicians wielded knives and cautery tools with precision and regularly cleaned their instruments and treatment areas, making sanitation a core aspect of healing. Intrigued by these innovations, Greek medical pioneers like Hippocrates, and centuries later, Galen sought out Egyptian temple schools and studied the original papyri. They borrowed methods for examining patients, predicting outcomes, and tailoring treatments to individual cases. In particular, the structured approach to prognosis outlined in the Edwin Smith papyrus laid the groundwork for assessing and managing injuries systematically. Over the following centuries, the resulting Greek-Egyptian medical fusion journeyed across the Mediterranean, leaving a lasting mark on Roman practices. Even in medieval Europe, hospital managers upheld the principles of clean wards and regulated diets, ideas inherited from those Nile-side clinics. Through this continuous exchange, Egypt's medical blueprint became an essential pillar of Western medicine, its ancient insights carrying forward into the disciplines and institutions that define healthcare to this day. Modern rediscovery. Also, the decipherment of hieroglyphs in the 19th century opened access to countless medical papyri. Still, it is only with the advent of modern imaging technologies that fresh revelations have emerged. X-rays and CT scans of mummies have revealed healed fractures, dental work, and even surgical pins, providing unequivocal evidence of ancient surgical expertise. Meanwhile, chemical analyses of jar residues have confirmed the recipes of honey, fats, and plant extracts described in the texts. Paleopathologists have identified cases of arthritis, parasitic infections, and cancer, allowing us to link specific diseases to corresponding treatments recorded by Egyptian healers. Research by Rosalie David and Roger Forshaw at the University of Manchester emphasizes the remarkably progressive Egyptian attitudes toward deformity and disability. Inscriptions record care regimes for disabled individuals who could work in temples or serve as priests, with designated careers ensuring their livelihoods. Addressing snake and scorpion bites, researchers highlight that the Brooklyn Papyrus, dating back to around 450 BCE, stands among the earliest medical writings. It catalogs various snakes, their habitats, the symptoms of their bites, and associated deities. Then it prescribes treatments that range from practical interventions to magical incantations. And the use of natron, a naturally occurring compound, illustrates the Egyptians' deep practical knowledge in treating venomous wounds. Together, these discoveries reinforce the enduring legacy of Egypt's medical ingenuity. Also, the researchers underscore that despite appearing unsophisticated by 21st century standards, ancient Egyptian medicine demonstrated evidence-based practices 4 millennia ago. The centrality of the patient's role and the enlightened attitude toward deformities and disabilities constitute the Egyptians' enduring legacy to the modern world. Why their science still blows our minds. 3,000 years before germ theory, Egyptians valued cleanliness and antiseptics. They performed surgery with precision, documented every step, and set broken bones with strong splints. Their natural remedies, such as honey for infection and willow bark for pain, mirror modern pharmaceuticals. Even their blend of magic and medicine echoes holistic approaches rising in popularity today. Their temples doubled as clinics, their houses of life combined research with ritual, and their texts established case-based reasoning. From anatomy insights via embalming to specialized eye clinics, they built a system surprisingly modern in organization and practice. Their science wasn't limited by technology, but fueled by observation, trial, and a deep belief in the healing power of nature and the divine. So, in a nutshell, ancient Egyptian medicine fused observation, natural remedies, surgery, and magic into a system both practical and profound. Temple schools, detailed papyri, and embalming practices gave healers unmatched anatomical and pharmaceutical insight. Their respect for cleanliness and step-by-step treatments set standards centuries ahead of many cultures. Rediscovered through papyri, tomb art, and modern scans, their science continues to inspire holistic care and sustainable medicine. Their blend of spirit and science still challenges us to heal with wisdom drawn from nature and a touch of magic. So, what do you think about this video? Please share with us in the comments section below. We would love to read them. Also, if you liked this video, share it with your friends and subscribe to our channel for more interesting content.